Hi there, I'm Kristen Metter, CPA, also known as Traveling CPA Chick. I'm so excited to be with you today. This is another one of my 15-minute quick and snappy little webinars where together we're going to understand your monthly expenses, we're going to get a simple budget in place, and we're going to figure out how much money you should have in your emergency fund, which we call your Hit the Road Fund. A bit of background about me, I became location independent in 2018, founding Gradient Accounting, my cloud accounting firm, shortly after that. My mission with travelingcpachick.com is to serve aspiring location independent individuals in years 1 and 2 of their journey to save more money and hit the road, however that looks for them. So let's get started. First, today, I want to reframe your mindset about what an emergency fund is. For many of us, we know this simple definition. An emergency fund is exactly how it's described. It's a pool of money in a savings account that is not to be touched except for emergencies. Many of us already have one, but don't know the exact rhyme or reason behind the amount of money in there. And if you do have an emergency fund, that is great. For you, the goal behind this webinar is to reframe how you think about your emergency fund and what it should be used for. If you don't have an emergency fund yet, that's totally okay. The goal for you today is to learn about what it is, why you need it, and to get started saving. The first thing I'm going to do for you today is to redefine what an emergency fund is. From now on, we're scrapping that word and we're going to be calling it your Hit the Road Fund, which is so much more exciting. Your Hit the Road Fund is what provides optionality in your life to make decisions that are outside the norm or to buck the 40-hour conventional desk job. So to paint a picture, let's say that you hate your current job. Your boss sucks and the work is soul crushing. If you don't have any savings, you have no other choice. You have to stay. You have to stay because rent's due next month and you have all of these other adult bills piling up. However, if you do have a Hit the Road fund, you have the freedom to put in your resignation and take off on a 6-month trip to Southeast Asia while building a location independent income. That is a win-win, my friend. However, the goal of the Hit the Road Fund is to not touch it unless we need to. It's the ultimate security blanket that we want to always have with us. So let's figure out now how much your Hit the Road Fund needs to be. With conventional wisdom about the emergency fund, many personal financial gurus say it needs to be 3 times your monthly expenses. I like that idea a lot and it's tried and true. However, I also know that my monthly expenses look totally different whether I'm at home or whether I'm traveling on the road. And we need to take this into account. So with my definition of your Hit the Road Fund, it should be 3 times your at-home expenses or 6 times your monthly travel expenses, whichever is greater. There are 2 reasons for this. Number 1, most of us do want to do some long-term travel or alternative living. This Hit the Road Fund will give us a 6-month buffer period to travel without worry while we work on growing our location independent income. Number 2, if you are at home and you want to make a life change, like start a new business or find a job that you love, you will likely need a little less coverage than when you're on the road traveling. So the conventional 3-month number is appropriate here. Likely, traveling will be cheaper for you than being at home. So the results of calculating your Hit the Road Fund may surprise you. And we're going to do this calculation together. So don't feel like you need to take notes because I have a really helpful template that's going to walk us through it. So the other positive thing about knowing what your monthly expenses are at home and on the road is that you can feel free to travel because this can help you make important lifestyle decisions that could ultimately put your mind at ease while deciding to pursue a life of travel. So I do want to give you one caveat. Ultimately, your Hit the Road Fund may have to be used for completely unexpenses like true emergencies, medical emergencies, or auto repairs. And if that's the case, that is totally okay. And it's really great that you have this because you won't have to worry about those things that are going to come up in life from time to time. Your future self will thank you. So next, I want to go ahead and walk you through the calculation of how to figure out what your Hit the Road goal fund is and to know how much to save each month to get there. I'm going to share my screen with you, and I'm going to be showing you our Traveling CPA budgeting template. So I highly encourage you to get this template for yourself. It's going to be linked below, and it's also going to be in the templates section of our travelingcpachick.com website. And it's available for a very low cost. So I hope that you're able to download this template yourself. So once you get the template, you're going to have the option to fill it out on Google Sheets or on Excel. I prefer Google Sheets because it's saved in the cloud, and if something were to happen to your computer, like it was stolen or it broke, you would have a backup. So if you are using Google Sheets, the first thing you'll do is you're going to go to File and Make a Copy, and you can rename it whatever you want and save it wherever you want. So I'm going to rename it Kristen's Traveling CPA Chick Budgeting Template and click OK. And then when it loads, what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill out all of these yellow highlighted fields. And the template is going to do all the work for me, calculating all of the numbers that I need to know. So don't overthink filling this out. Done is better than perfect here. So you can always edit it as time goes on, but just try to get it done. The first question it's going to ask is the current amount you have saved in your emergency fund. And this does not mean invested in the market. This means in a savings account, somewhere safe. So I'm going to put 500 for this for the purposes of this example. And the next question is my current monthly take-home income. So this is income after taxes are pulled out, if that's your situation, or 401k, savings, or insurance, if you have like a traditional job with benefits. So I'll put 4,000 a month here. And then my fully funded goal date is the date that I want to have my Hit the Road fund fully saved up. So I either want to pursue travel or quit my job or whatever that's going to look like for me. So I'm going to choose the end of February of 2022. So next up is to fill out your expenses while you're at home. So here in Knoxville, Tennessee, when I'm at home, these are my expenses as they stand now. And this is just an example. And so, use this and think about your own expenses as we go through this. So rent and mortgage, homeowners or renters insurance, and these are per month numbers. And if you are pursuing travel or pursuing location independence with your spouse or significant other, feel free to bundle these. So to do it as the household expenses. Utilities, I know that varies from month to month, so use a monthly average. Internet and cable, gym, cell phone. So I'm just going to go through and put some numbers in here. And with these rows that say other, feel free to make these your own. So if there are other fixed expenses you have that aren't represented here, you can use these rows. And then same with your debt. So any auto loan payments, student loans, credit cards, anything like that. Mortgage was up here, so that isn't included in this debt section. Again, feel free to use these other rows as you need to. Variable expenses, these fluctuate from month to month, so we're going to do our best to come up with a monthly average as it stands now for us. So for groceries, I'm going to put 400 a month. Eating out, I'll put 150. Gas, I'll put 100. I don't use public transit. I'll put something for clothing and the rest of these categories. And then irregular expenses are not monthly expenses. They're often annual or several times a year, like taking weekend trips or getaways. Let's say I do that twice a year and it costs 500 per weekend. So I'll put in 1,000 here for the annual number. Holidays, let's say I spend about 500 on gifts. Let's say I do have Amazon Prime, and then feel free to use these other rows as you need to. Okay, so that's done. Now I'm going to hop over to our on the road expenses. So this is really exciting. So go ahead and think about the trip that you may want to take or the lifestyle you want to take on when you're nomadic or location independent. So for me, let's say I do want to go to Southeast Asia for 6 months. The first thing I need to fill out is my average accommodation costs per night. So I'm going to stay in hostels and budget Airbnbs, so this will be pretty cheap for me at $25 per night. My average food spending per day, I'm going to put 20. I will be eating out, but I'll also be cooking at home to keep that low. My average activity spend per day, I'm not going to do a lot of activities, but maybe every other day I'll spend about $10 going to pay temple entrance fees and stuff like that. So I'll divide 10 by 2 and I'll put $5 here. Monthly expenses, the first one is ground transportation. So how much will I spend a month on taxis, trains, buses, that type of thing? Flights, I know this is going to vary, but let's say I've budgeted $2,000 for flights during this trip, which includes a round trip flight to and from the US. I'll take $2,000 and divide it by 6 for my 6-month trip. I'm going to put in some other dollar amounts for the rest of these. And I won't have any debt payments, but if you're going to continue to have debt payments, make sure to put those in this section. Okay, so now let's hop over to the monthly at a glance. The template calculated this for us, so let's analyze what it tells us. Right now, my monthly at-home expenses are $2,034. And my monthly on the road expenses are $2,043. Those are very similar numbers. So on the road is a little more expensive for me than at home. But I think a lot of that is because I do have a little bit more budgeted for flights in here. So if you are going to use more ground transportation, let's say I only budgeted $150 a month for flights, my monthly expenses on the road are way cheaper than at home. So what is my hit the road fund goal? With this budget, it's $11,160, which I believe is 6 months of on the road expenses. So again, it's either greater of 3 months at home or 6 months on the road. The first important question is, how much more do I need to save? Well, what this does is it takes the amount that your goal is, $11,160, and subtracts what you already have saved. So for me, it's $10,660. That means per month to reach my fully funded goal date, February 28th, 2022, I need to save $1,093. And is that possible? Yes. And that is possible because right now my monthly take-home income minus my monthly at-home expenses leaves me more than enough to put this much away in savings per month. So let's jump to next steps. If it is possible to save my monthly goal amount, my next step is to set up a monthly recurring transfer, setting it up automatically to your savings account. And if you are looking for a new savings account, I highly recommend a no-fee, high-yield savings account like Marcus by Goldman Sachs. That's the one I use. There are other great options out there, but this will make sure your money is safe and secure while also earning you interest. If you do not have the ability to save what you need to save every month, if this says no, your next step is to find ways to reduce your expenses or increase your income so you can meet your goal. I don't want you to have to change your goal. I want you to be able to meet it using some strategy. So think about some lifestyle changes that you could make to help you get to your goal quicker. Ask yourself these 3 questions. Number 1, what destination do I have in mind for my 6 months on the road? If my monthly on the road budget was for Western Europe, that's going to look a lot different than Southeast Asia or India, or even renting or living out of an RV. So keep that in mind. Number two, could I do anything drastic to cut my expenses today? So my at-home expenses, if those are high, could I move in with my family or friends? Could I sell my car? Basically getting these expenses down so I have more of a buffer to save. Number three, could I take on a side hustle to increase my income each month? So if you increase your income, you still have more left over every month to put into savings. And I highly recommend doing that because this could also give you some location independent monthly income while you're on the road. So I hope this was really helpful to you. Again, this template is available for download, so I hope you take advantage of that. And I look forward to having more of these conversations in the future. Happy travels. Thanks.